Jazakumullah khair. I think you made some very valid points there, and I want to add to something very important, right? And this is, I think, one of the biggest challenges in this state in particular with the Muslim community, and I have to address it head on. Obviously, we have the same challenge in the UK, but I believe that we have better mechanisms of dealing with it there. I'm not trying to, but I think that we have a, more established community in the UK, only because we've been there for much longer and we've been able to establish ourselves, and our population is much more concentrated. And we have much less apostasy rates than in the United States. However, having said that, to answer your question directly, I think the question of first and foremost about homosexuality and Islam, yeah, and LGBT activism, and how do we deal with that? Because obviously, from an Islamic perspective, we know that homosexuality, not from an inclination perspective, from a tendency perspective, from a feeling perspective, but certainly from an action perspective, is something which is an aberration, irreligious, against our religion. We're not going to change that part of our religion. And in fact, one of the major sins of Islam. So I feel like this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, obviously this is your state and you've been living here, but I feel like there's a pressure to capitulate to this idea that actually we should say that the act itself, I'm not talking about the feeling, and I'm not talking about the person, homosexuals. I'm not talking about the feeling, how they feel. I'm talking about homosexual sex, to be completely honest with you, right? Penetration, yeah, sorry to be, I know there's kids in the room. I'm talking about that. We are under pressure to say that's legitimate and it's moral, it's fine. But I say, and this, wallahi, if there's anything you're going to leave with today, make this be the thing that you leave with, yeah? Because it's something that hopefully will protect your community and our communities everywhere. This is against every approach. Let me stand up for this, okay? No, it's against every single approach. Let me tell you why. We talked about the intersectional approach, yeah? What if someone who feels gay also believes that homosexuality is a sin? What if they have two things that they're doing at one time? They feel homosexual, they feel like they have homosexual inclination, but they also have the belief that what if they act upon that impetus, that what they will do is they'll do something sinful. So on an intersectional analysis, now we have to go back and ask, what do we prioritize in analysis? What they believe or what they feel? And if that person makes a conscientious decision to say, you know what, I feel like this, but my identity as a human being should be prioritized in this way, for example, in a religious way, and therefore I'm going to suppress my sexual, homosexuality, for example, I'm going to suppress it, then that is as legitimate on an intersectional analysis and a liberal analysis as someone, quote unquote, coming out of the closet. Basically, there is a presupposition that sexual expressionism should be prioritized over and above suppression. But that doesn't make any sense. Why is that the case? Can that be proven? So in other words, there's this idea which actually takes us all the way back to Freud, one guy called Freud, yeah? Sigmund Freud. He wrote a book called Civilization and Its Discontent. And in it, he basically argued, and he had this thing called the Oedipus complex. I don't want to go into major detail, but he said that, when a child is born, they have psychosexual stages of development, and at one stage, like for example, a young boy feels attraction for his mother, like he wants to engage sexually with his mother, right? And then we start, controlling those desires and so on. And he argues in his book that basically we should be able to express ourselves as much as possible. And this is incorporated into this liberal ethic. This liberal ethic of just do it, kind of like, the Nike slogan, yeah? Just do it, YOLO, live once, and so on. So sexual expressionism is prioritized over and above sexual repressionism, if you like. So coming out of the closet is seen as the epitome of self-expression, yes? Even though, as I made the point in my debate yesterday for those who were there, coming out of the incest closet was not seen in the same way. Yani, someone who has sexual inclination for their brother or sister, sorry to be very explicit here, but this is a very important topic. Because the truth is this, on social liberalism, the qaida, or the principle is, you can do whatever you want so long as you don't harm anyone else. That's what they say, yeah? Do whatever you want so long as you don't harm anyone else. Okay, so therefore, the homosexual has the right to have sex with another man. But a brother doesn't have the right to have sexual intercourse with his sister. Sorry to be, well, because deformed babies will come about. Okay, put contraception. The same logic applies. Why is there LGBT rights in this country and not incest rights, when both of them are predicated on the same social construct? Idea of a harm principle. So the idea is that a sexual expressionism should be prioritized over and above a repressionism, but even in certain contexts, there will be exceptions that are made. Like incest, for example, some taboo things that they have, society still has a civil rights movement yet for. If there was 100,000 people that had sexual feelings for their sisters and their brothers, and they come out hand in hand in the streets and they say, look, give us our rights, maybe things will change. But why should it be the case that that should be what has to happen in order for society to accept them, right? They should have the same rights to sexual expression. Anyway, that's a different question. The point is, as Muslims, we say all of these things go back to our expression as Muslims. We say, as Muslims, our morality is defined by what? Quran and Sunnah. And through the madhahib and so on, yeah? So if we believe that having sex with a man, if you're a man, is a sexual aberration, is irreligious, is wrong, and you say, no, that's an illegitimate belief, then you're stopping us from believing what we want to believe. Where's the freedom of expression in that? We are not going to sacrifice our expression to satisfy your own expression. Don't ever allow that to happen to your community. You have to fight tooth and nail before that ever happens in this community. Don't let them win the argument. Wallahi, even on their principles, there's no way you can lose this argument. You should be allowed to believe that two men having sex with each other is a moral aberration, is irreligious, is not correct. It's never going to be correct in my eyes. That doesn't mean now that I'm going to be disrespectful to homosexuals. No, we're going to have a good relationship with homosexuals. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ. We haven't sent you except as for all of the people, not just for, one sexuality. There's no discrimination. Wallahi, the Prophet came for everyone, the homosexual, the heterosexual, the bisexual, the black man, the white man, the green man, the yellow man, everyone. He wasn't sent for specific people, which goes back to the racism point that you meant. There's no fadl, there's no li'arabiyin for Arabi, over Ajami, or Ajami over Arabi, or for a black man over a white man, or a white man over So it's an inclusive message of Islam. But that should not mean that we're going to change our morality, because now you're impinging on our freedom of expression, and you're impinging on our freedom of thought. You're telling us what to believe. It's the equivalent, it's the moral equivalent of someone who's a vegetarian who believes that eating meat is wrong, yeah, is told, no, you can't have that belief because we have this, all these people are eating meat, therefore, you're calling them immoral. Even if they believe that is an immoral action and eating meat is wrong, shouldn't they be allowed to believe, right, that eating meat is an immoral action? Is vegetarianism going to be outlawed? We're going to call it vegophobia? You're a vegophobe. No, don't go there. The LGBT community, they have to know full well, and you have to make this case very clearly, that we will definitely treat you with respect and definitely allow you to enter our spaces. They're more welcome in our spaces than we are welcome in our spaces, because we want them to come into the mosque. We want homosexuals to come to the mosque from Muslim faith and non-Muslim faith. And yeah, it's not an impossibility to be a Muslim homosexual. You can have those feelings. And you can even commit the action. We're not even going to excommunicate you from Islam. Even if you have sex with 1,000 men, we're not going to excommunicate you from Islam. Sorry to say, but however, we are going to say that action is wrong. And if we are stopped from doing this because of this, what's referred to as a homo-nationalist agenda, yes, where homosexuals juxtapose themselves away from the Muslims in order to find some nation state in the Western world and so on, forget about it. We're not going to accept that. Muslim communities have to be strong. Just like Jewish communities were, just like Orthodox Jewish communities were, just like Christian communities in the Bible Belt can say ridiculous things. You're going to hell, shut up. Be quiet, redneck. Donald Trump and these guys. Be quiet. And they're allowed to do that, and I got a gun here, and they're walking around with guns and threatening behavior, and they're okay. But us Muslims, we have to be victimized, otherwise abjected for homosexuals no. We believe firmly, wholeheartedly, definitely, blatantly, obviously, willingly, that homosexuality, if done in practice, is sinful. And we will never back down from that. Don't ever let them back down from that position. The moment you back down from that position, wallahi, you've backed down from Islam. Jazakumullah khairan.